What's up guys, Brady Figueler coming at you with a review for the new Sleep Theory album Afterglow, released last Friday, May 16th. I gotta say, even though I'm not much into the mainstream hard rock scene nowadays and the octane scene, it's pretty cool to see a new band like this. This is literally their first album, to see just how big of an audience they already have. Despite this being, again, their first album, they just dropped it 6 days ago. They've had multiple songs chart in the top 10 of the mainstream rock charts, one of which hit number 1, another which hit number 2. It's really cool to see, especially as someone who grew up on bands that these guys are clearly very inspired by, like the Breaking Benjamins and Linkin Parks and 3 Days Graces. It's cool that in 2025, we're seeing another breakout band of that ilk. And I've been really curious to hear this album. I haven't really gone out of my way to listen to the singles very much. And again, as someone who, like I just said, grew up listening to the aforementioned bands, and honestly, I still enjoy a good amount of material from those bands, I would love nothing more than to have a new band have just an album that ends up being kind of a modern rendition of one of those albums that I end up really enjoying. And kind of on that note, I will say that there are moments on this album that really do scratch the nostalgic itch. Like the track Fallout is just so Meteora Linkin Park. Just in that main riff, the mid-tempo feel the song has, the vocal cadences, especially in the verses. The chorus does have more of a Breaking Benjamin feel to it, mostly just in vocalist Cullen Moore's, just how his voice sounds and the kind of trade-off thing that happens between the cleans and the screams. But that's one of those songs that for me, it hit so close to home just because of the nostalgia that I associate with Linkin Park and Breaking Benjamin. The song is like a 50-50 mashup between those two bands. I should clarify the best material by those bands. It's like Linkin Park Meteora meets Breaking Benjamin Phobia. And a recurring theme that this song presents, that is among several tracks on here, is that this song is just ridiculously catchy. That is one thing that I think this band seems to really have a good ear for, is just writing some catchy ass hooks, choruses, vocal cadences, melodies, all of it. That song's a great instance of it. Also, the opening track, Static, is a really good instance of just a really, really catchy chorus with some really great vocal melodies. Also, 3 and Stuck in My Head. These songs are they're just massive hooks in the forms of individual tracks. I think something that plays an important role in that, too, is that vocal dynamic I mentioned earlier between the cleans and the screams. And again, just Cullen Moore's vocal performance on this album. He does really prove himself to be a very talented vocalist. He clearly takes as much influence from Chester Bennington as he does from The Weeknd. And he pretty much embodies everything in between. And I also really enjoy guitarist Daniel Pruitt's unclean vocals on here. His screaming voice is great. Reminds me a lot of Matthew Dahmer from Idola. Just in the way that his screaming voice sounds. I think it adds a lot to the album. It really does make the heavy parts feel heavy, because if it was somebody that didn't have a convincing screaming voice, the screaming parts and the heavy parts definitely would feel a little bit underwhelming. But that doesn't happen on here, and they end up hitting pretty hard, especially because of the vocal performance on here. So yeah, I definitely have a decent amount of compliments for this album, but unfortunately, those are about all the compliments I have for this album. And before I continue with the review, I just want to clarify, I absolutely support this band. I wish them the very best, but this album is not for me. Despite these compliments, the majority of this album, the overwhelming majority of this album, just checks off box after box after box after box as far as things that I do not like about this octane hard rock genre. For one, as good as the vocal performances are on here, the instruments just I feel like they serve no purpose at all besides highlighting the vocals. There are absolutely zero interesting musical ideas on this album instrumentally. Even on Fallout, which is by far my favorite track on here. Yeah, it scratches that nostalgic itch, but that intro riff, it's so I've heard it so many times before. Like I said, it does very much remind me of Linkin Park, but be a bit more creative with it. Same with Stuck in My Head and Paralyzed, Parasite, all these songs, they have main riff sections, but they're just so they feel so recycled and so familiar. You could definitely tell that there really wasn't much thought put into the writing as far as the guitars go on this album. The one section on this album that I thought that was, okay, that was a pretty cool guitar part. It's on the track Numb, right at the 105 mark. You know how long it is? 5 fucking seconds. The way the songs on here just absolutely shove aside any instrumental ideas that could be somewhat interesting to just emphasize vocals. It rubs me wrong. It ends up feeling like pop music at the end of the day, because that's really what pop music is. It's just all about the hooks and hooks and hooks. That's what this album feels like. It's so dumbed down and so radio pandering that I find myself unable to find anything to latch onto or kind of dig beneath the surface to find. Like, you listen to the title track, it's 3 minutes and 44 seconds long. And it's vocals the entire time. The instruments do not get any chance to shine in this song at all. That's not an exaggeration. Same goes for Gravity, same goes for the closing track, Words Are Worthless. Are the actual musicians on here? Like, I feel like if I was in this band, I would be bored to death playing these songs. As a multi-instrument musician myself, I can't imagine playing these songs because they don't feel like they had any actual creativity put into them from the musicians on here. Instrumentally, the entire band feels like background music to vocalist Cullen Moore. And I can't stand feeling that as a listener. The plus side is Cullen Moore is a great vocalist. He proves that on this album. But I need more than that. Vocals themselves cannot carry the entire weight through an album, at least for me. And I gotta say, another thing that doesn't really help the case here is some of these lyrics. Something that kind of comes along with the kind of pop song structures that this album maintains is some really repetitive lyrics. And also lyrics that just feel a little bit juvenile and just uninspired. Like track 3, the appropriately titled 3. It lyrically centers the entire song around the idea that tragedy comes in threes. I mean, I guess that's an okay idea, but how much can you really say when it comes to that theme? Like, the majority of the song is just him saying tragedy comes in threes, basically. And then there are some lines that kind of deviate a little bit, but then they kind of just feel out of place and like you can't really tell what they're trying to say. Like when he says, I can't believe you're a part of everything. Okay, now he's singing to somebody? Like, how does this make sense? And then later in the song, he says, who's laughing now? Look who's laughing now. I don't see the correlation at all. The worst track on here lyrically has got to be the song Gravity. I find this track insufferable. Mostly because it centers on that theme of a guy singing to a girl who has a boyfriend. And the lyrics are anything along the lines of like, I could treat you better than he can. Does he do this? He treats you this way. I could treat you better. It's just, oh my God, it's terrible. Especially in hard rock music. Like, I get it might be a common theme in R&B and hip hop and pop and whatever else, but it makes me cringe so hard listening to this song. I'm all for genre blending of any kind. I think that always brings new listeners into especially rock and metal music. So I support it, but it really makes me cringe. And then Paralyzed. I mean, the main refrain, paralyzed from the fear inside. How many times have you heard that in a hard rock song? I understand these songs are catchy, which makes them probably enjoyable, evidently enjoyable to a lot of people, considering the success this band has had. So, I mean, if you enjoy these tracks, no shade. I kind of get it when it comes to that, but it's not enough for me. I need more. I need a lot more nuance. I need something that's way less surface level. Even when you listen back to what I mentioned earlier, Linkin Park Meteora, Breaking Benjamin Phobia, there was some genuine emotion behind the vocals and the lyrics on there. And instrumentally too. I mean, both those albums had some pretty cool riffs, pretty cool grooves, some genuine technicality when it comes to the rhythm section. This album does not have any of that. It's just as surface level as you could possibly get. And another thing that really detracts from the listening experience for me is one of the most underwhelming and underproduced guitar tones I have heard all year. Just how flat the guitars sound on here. It emphasizes even more those feelings of them feeling uninspired and feeling just like background music. Like on Static, you skip to the 211 mark, and there's that really powerful scream that actually sounds pretty good, but listen to how fucking flaccid those guitars sound underneath it. Same with the track Just a Mistake. That intro, what a weak intro to a song. It's got no dynamics to it at all. The 2:12 minute of the song Parasite, there's a breakdown part that kicks in that's supposed to sound heavy, but does not at all. It sounds super weak yet again. Again, it emphasizes what an afterthought that the actual instrumental ideas are on this album. So yeah, I guess to conclude, this album, once again, it's not for me at all. I see some potential here, especially in the vocal performances, like I said. I think if there was a more raw and authentic production, and if the instruments on here got significantly higher roles in the music, some more thought put into the lyrics and some more nuances there, I think this band could put out a pretty rock solid modern hard rock album, and I would love nothing more than for that to happen. But for my taste, this album is painfully surface level, really dumbed down. It's nauseatingly polished, and it has zero creative and new, fresh sounding ideas that actually sound innovative. So I'm happy for this band. Evidently what they're doing is working for a lot of people, but for me it's not. And for that reason, I'm going to score this album a 7 out of 30. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have heard this album and you like it, or if you hate it, comment your thoughts down below. Remember to hit subscribe for more rock and metal-related content and album reviews. I got my Instagram, Spotify, and Threads links in the description of the video. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.